Hey, what's happening, Bulls and Bears? It is Sunday, July 10th, 2022. Thank you for joining in. Please let me know what you think about the audio. I'm going through some of my equipment and going to get rid of some of it that doesn't sound good. I'm actually using about 4 different things for recording this, and that's been one of the biggest complaints that I see down in comments is, hey JJ, sometimes your audio doesn't sound good, other times the audio is good and the video is blurry. So thank you for that feedback. And what I hear often is, hey, your information's good, but there's very inconsistent audio or video and or both. So now instead of using 4 different things, I've got a headset that I use over here. Today I'm recording this on a JVC Invisio camera that I bought years ago. And sometimes I use my phone, and I've got this other camera. So instead of all this juggling different devices, I'm going to buy one nice camera and actually have it. I'm just trying to figure out how to integrate it with my screen recorder. So please let me know how this sounds today. If it doesn't sound good or look good, we'll sell this camera on eBay and we'll just use a more modernized camera. But let's get into the news. The economy is looking scarier and scarier all the time to me. And one of the scariest parts of it is the data that's being cherry-picked to be put out there, to be broadcast, on the media, trying to convince people how good the economy really is. One of the more recent ones was, oh, look how many jobs were added in the month of June. First of all, were these good paying jobs or were they low paying entry level service sector jobs? Well, if you just look at the debt that people are in, I think you know the answer to that. But let's talk about some recent numbers here and how many people that retired early with the onset of the health crisis in 2020 are now being forced to go back to work. And I think they're being forced. Listen to this article. This is out of WAPO. This is not some out there website that nobody's ever heard of. Millions retired early during the health crisis. Many are now returning to work, new data shows. Over the past 2 years, over 1.5 million retirees have returned to the, no, 1 year, I'm sorry. It's even worse than I thought. Over the past 1 year, 1.5 million Americans returned to the labor force that were retired. 1.5 million. Do you think that might help the jobs numbers look pretty good when 1.5 million people a year have to re-enter the labor force? Now let's go back to 2020. A lot of people retired. Now let's chop that up into little pieces here. A lot of people were scared of the health crisis. But also think about your retirement savings account. A lot of times you cannot get access to those funds unless you lose your job or quit your job. And was that a reason why a lot of people chose to retire early? Because they knew they needed that retirement money to live off of. And now they're going to have to pay Uncle Sam a lot of that, a big chunk of that, a fee or a penalty for taking it out early. And a lot of it was done out of desperation, in my opinion. I think that's a part of the puzzle here. But yeah, so now you know, I think, a big part of these jobs numbers, but it gets even worse. Even with the jobs numbers that were put out in June, the labor force participation rate actually declined. So when people stop looking for work or when they retire, they're no longer considered someone looking for work. So we have people unretiring and we have people retiring early. But I think a lot of those people that are retiring early, maybe for that reason I just mentioned, to get their 401ks or get their retirement funds, I think a lot of them are going to see, hey, I have to go back to work because the cost of living, next year we might see, who knows, 1.5 million more, maybe 2 million going back into the labor force. All right, so unretiring continues to be a trend. And this recent article here just came out in the past few weeks. This recent article highlights what we've been talking about here, but it's a lot worse than even I've been reporting, 1.5 million. Let's move over now to the mortgage industry. Sorry, I've got something biting me. Could be a mosquito. It's only like 3 in the afternoon here in California, so I don't see why mosquitoes would be biting this early, but yeah. Bloodbath in the mortgage industry. Mortgage industry keeps cutting staff, including mortgage lenders are folding. Sprout, mortgage lender, adding to 4,000 layoffs as demand for loans hits a 20-year low. So with that particular lender, a 20-year low in mortgage applications, and there's a whole list of other places, other mortgage companies that are cutting here. We've got San Francisco-based mortgage lending company PropTech laying off 19% of its staff. Movement Mortgage, we reported on them back in April, laying off more staff. Better.com, we talked about that. They recently laid off more. Blend Labs, a digital lending platform, so online lending. 200 employees, which equals 10% of its staff. Remax, cutting 17% of its workforce. Recent article here out of Des Moines Register and other publications as well. Wells Fargo lays off another 107 workers from their Metro Des Moines mortgage lending unit. And these are just a few. There's a lot more. Mortgage jobs post their first multi-month decline since 2019. So things are continuing to unfold pretty quickly with all these layoffs. And where are these people going to go to work? Maybe they'll have to get a different type of job. Maybe they'll have to work in the food industry, the service sector. I mean, a lot of these are service sector jobs. They're taking phone calls. They're doing mortgage applications. They're underwriting, loan officers, etc. Keller Williams told employees from their Keller Mortgage division dropping 150 recruits. And this drop in mortgage volume has got a lot of people headed off to the unemployment line or looking to get a different type of job. And I made the decision years ago after the financial crisis to work for a company that's not just mortgages, that's diversified. I did work in the mortgage industry at one point and had plenty of chances to get back into it over the past 5-10 years, and maybe I would have made more, but I went to stability instead of just getting what was going to pay the most at that time. And I'm glad I made that decision because we can see what's happening now. Now let's talk about something a lot of people seem to want to watch YouTube videos because of the quality but not the content, right? And this goes back to what I said at the beginning, the content quality. So I've researched this, I've tried to figure out what some other people are doing or saying, and a lot of times it's the quality of the video and the audio versus the information. So I'll give you an example. I went over and looked through a bunch of different people that have had big followings, and a lot of them have been dangerously wrong on a lot of things. I'll give you an example. Several channels predicting a home price crash in 2019, 20, 21, and of course still this year. They may be right, or they may see a decline in home prices later this year if things continue. But a lot of those channels that were wrong and that probably hurt a lot of people financially, that listen to them, they get tons of views, and it's likely because their quality of their video. That's why I decided to just upgrade to a nicer camera instead of using all this various equipment, because if you're watching something for the quality but not listening to the news or not listening to the information, you're really going to get hurt financially. I mean, you can watch something because of quality, but if the information's wrong and you're still listening just because the quality's good and the audio's good, I'm talking about sound quality, you're going to get misdirected financially. I'm not trying to direct anybody. I don't give financial advice. But I did get an email the other day that kind of reminded me of this. They said, "Hey JJ, thank you very much. Everybody was predicting the housing market to crash in 2020. I watched your channel. You talked about the foreclosure moratoriums, how they're keeping interest rates low, all this stimulus money being sent out. And of course, we told you that home prices were not going to go down, that they're likely going to go up. The shortages, supply chain disruptions. You can't just look at one or two things. You've got to put all the pieces of the puzzle together, and that's going to tell you what's really happening and what's going to happen, right? And I'm not saying I'm going to predict everything correct going forward. It's impossible to predict a manipulated market. Think about all the people right now. Even mainstream is talking about the housing market correction, high mortgage rates. What do you think is going to happen if they cut mortgage rates again, if they put another freeze on foreclosures, if they send out more assistance paychecks? We've got one coming out here in California. We've got around $1,000 stimulus checks going out to people that have kids. What do you think is going to happen if they implement that nationally? You're going to see home prices go up again, probably even faster than they did before. So I'm not here saying I'm going to predict everything that's going to happen. You cannot predict a manipulated market. So a lot of this is just taking all the information and coming up with your best conclusion, or what you call an educated guess. Um, I'm not out here saying, "Oh, I've been right. Look at me, yeah, yeah, yeah." I'm just saying that no matter what you hear, you may want to go with your gut and just keep in the back of your mind that this manipulation makes it impossible to tell exactly what's going to go on. There's people out there predicting hyperinflation, and as you probably see if you look around, other people predicting a collapse and a 90% drop in the markets and in homes and everything, crashes. It's crazy how a diverse spectrum of predictions that are out there with the economy, with prices, the cost of living, you name it. A couple more articles here to hit on, then we'll talk about the some channel update information and the video camera setup and stuff like that. Here's an example of how desperate people are in this economy right now. A Florida woman hid her 93-year-old mother in a freezer so she could keep collecting disability. Think about that. You have a body in the freezer, and I'd have to imagine it would be one of those big deep freezers in the garage or something, to collect disability. How desperate, what kind of financial dire straits do you have to be in to want to free somebody just to collect the disability payments? That's just one example, and I'm sure there's, who knows, 10,000, hundreds of thousands of similar situations out there. Not the freezer situation, but just the despotism. People going to crime, and that was a crime. She's going to get prosecuted. So first she lost her 93-year-old mother, and she was so financially desperate that she kept her body out of the morgue. She didn't disclose that she died, kept her in a freezer because she was so desperate financially. So now on top of her already desperate financial situation, she's got charges of a fraud against her, and she's going to end up likely behind bars. The more people that are behind bars, the more they're going to raise your taxes so you can pay for it. It's bad, folks, and that's just one example of many. All right, the camera situation. All right, so sometimes I record on my phone. Sometimes you'll see me wearing a headset. I've got this JVC camera that I'm on right now. It's maybe 7-8 years old. And again, please let me know about the quality down below. But I've got this $700 camera, $800 after sales tax, and it's the one that I see used the most when I looked around at other channels that had really good looking audio quality and video quality. So now I'm in kind of a situation where, wow, my channel's not growing. Do I want to go out and spend that much money on a camera for a channel that's not growing? But then a few people that I've been consulting with, they say, well, maybe if your video quality is better and your audio quality is better, maybe your channel will start growing again, right? So it's kind of like a catch-22. You don't want to invest a lot of money in a channel that's stuck and not growing. But even if the channel doesn't grow, what I've decided is, you that are watching right now, even if I don't get any more new viewers, you that are watching right now, you are the reason why I'm getting an upgraded camera. Thanks to your tips and your comments and your support, and just watching these videos have helped me enough to be able to make that investment, right? Not a huge investment, $700-800, right? I'm not going out and getting a whole recording studio, which maybe if I did, maybe the channel would grow. See, that's the dilemma. I could go out and redecorate this whole place, maybe get a whole shed and just use it strictly for recording video, but then you get $5,000-10,000 into it and your channel's not growing, then you made a bad financial choice, So it's kind of like you're going out on a limb when you invest in something like a channel like this, financial. It's like starting a business, right? What do they say? 8 out of 10 businesses fail in the first 5 years. So anyways, thanks everybody for being here. Please let me know about this audio, this video. If it's no good, I'm going to sell this on eBay, and we're just going to use the new camera, this new Sony camera that I've got. Please let me know what you think about these mortgage layoffs. And rates went down a little bit. Mortgage rates went down. They went back up again here recently with the 10-year bond now being driven back upward. And what do you think about the whole freezer story out of Florida? This woman was trying to collect her mother's disability. Sad. But how many more people are out there, similar situations, you know, doing underhanded stuff because of their dire straits financial situation? All right, everybody. It's going to be all for today. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Like this video to help us get into the algorithm. Thanks for being here. We'll talk to you very soon. Peace.